On with the show.
Oh, gotta kick 'em out! Start to sweat, you know why? Just always what I'm feeling. And the sound of the sound, the free sound on the ceiling. You gotta have it, baby, you can't do without. When you get that feeling, you got to talk about. Put that back in my hand and let me kick it down. Gotta kick 'em out.
Crazy production for 2 nights, and I've never really seen anything like it. And then just creatively, these people come from all over the United States and basically get together for 3 days and rehearse, build props, do a tech rehearsal, help other people out, and the show goes on. And some people were getting a script the night before saying, we need you to play this little part, and it's real wild. But the actual, that's just the plays. So that part's very frenetic and wild, and people are kind of looking at their scripts right before they go on. But the one thing that we did do this year was 2 of the plays came directly from Chico. So they had that was Denver's play and Joyce's play, the Carver piece and the Malibu piece. So those 2 plays were actually significantly more rehearsed, and they used Chico artists, and so that allowed kind of a calming effect on the other 2 plays and the musicians to kind of come in and have this kind of whirlwind experience.
Diabolical America, and that seemed to be a theme that spoke to a lot of the artists that we asked to work on it. It really informed the way that we workshopped or butchered the high school script that was we used. We selected out of a reading series. We did some readings of potential butcher shop scripts several months ago, and one of them was a Cold War lampoon of Russian and American and German relations. And so when we workshopped the piece, thinking of domestic diabolical America and the recent Edward Snowden and Bradley Manning trials and all the spying that's going on of its own citizens by the American government, we tried to use that as a backdrop for this Russian immigrant play that we ended up doing in the play called Malibu in 1953.
Why are Americans so concerned with the freedom, huh? When every day they give all personal information to Department of Motor Vehicles or Credit Department at Macy's and all these private companies, huh? Why is one type of control a sign of tyranny and another a type of freedom?
I pay it. Oh, goodness! The void!
It may simply be light bulb problem. Don't worry, I've got this.
I will call customer service.
My mother!
We're done!
Thank you, Trevor. Yes, I'll be right there.
I'm Roger.
What brought it about was I was friends with Amanda Detmer. She got us into this, like, she introduced us, myself, to Denver. She was like, I think you guys would like each other, so Denver brought me in. He said, hey, we do this theater in the backyard. And I was like, what? Who does theater in the backyard? And immediately became part of what Big Denny likes to call the roof over the top of the family. Like, this is the roof, and underneath it are all these people, these performers that come together and become part of our family. And once being folded into that, I couldn't pull myself out, and neither did I want to. You know, it's one of the most enjoyable things I can possibly think of. It's the most unique thing I've ever seen, and the space is also exciting. I mean, an almond orchard. When I leave New York and come out to tell people where I'm going, they kind of can't believe it until I show them pictures. Like, really? You're out there? Oh, yeah. I mean, like, people, that many people show up. I'm like, yeah. They ride their bikes? Yeah.
Then you can tell me goodbye. Give me a moment with a moment soften my dreams with a sigh. Tell me each evening for a million years. Then if it don't work out, then if it don't work out, then you can tell me goodbye.
4 days before the show, they came to us and said, oh, how about you do the Saturday Shadow play? And then they say, we have a narrative for you. And we listen to the narrative, and we're like, what? Yeah, you want us to, like, kill the demon and then turn into love? And it's just like, love. And they just kept saying, just love, and then it's love. And we were like,
Yeah, so then we had the theme of American Diabolus, and Jesse and Haley and Forrest and I started working on our play together, and we came up with 4 ideas. We drew a grid, and we put the 4 ideas in the grid, and the 4 ideas were the Great Satan, which is what the Ayatollah Khomeini called the United States during the Iran hostage crisis in the 70s. And so we had the Great Satan, and we had prison was an idea, because we all felt like we were in prison right then, having to work inside of this constraint that Demmer gave us. And nature was an idea. That comes from living in New York City. Everybody fetishizes nature all the time because we're surrounded by the city. And then this writer who we all like named Anton Artaud, who was a French poet in the 20th century.
We do plays all the time, so I mean this is a cramped amount of time where we're trying to pull this show together for the butcher shop, and we have a week. But I mean in New York we're also kind of doing that, you know, it's a smaller scale production, so a lot of times there aren't as many props, but you know, we probably do a play at least every couple months. You know, usually that Forrest writes, Dylan and Jesse are more focused on making films. But there's definitely an extension there. And people in Brooklyn definitely know about Chico, so.
And so we wrote those 4 ideas down, and then we just brainstormed after that. We're like, what would be some good prison ideas? You know, and we wrote down prison ideas. What would be some good nature ideas? And we wrote down nature ideas. And then once we had 16 of those, you know, 4 of each of those things, we just started rolling these dice. And
Dylan basically was in Mexico City for a month, traveling around, figuring his stuff out, you know. He just quit his job. He went there just to focus on the movie and also to get away from it. And he got back and he was in his house for like way too fucking long. And he found this dice in his couch.
At this point, Dylan had settled into an idea from John Cage. One can randomly generate content. In this case, was a dice, a Latin pedagogical dice.
And every time it would come up with one, you know, we'd go, okay, well, which one should we put next? And we'd roll the dice, and it would determine what we were going to do next. And so the whole story was created out of this narrative grid. Well, this will be an interesting way to do a play. I don't know if it'll work, but who knows? It'll be something. It'll be different.
Okay, we're starting to rehearse. So the creation of the props is it's a dramatic event. They're creating a thing where they're going to try to roll this kid Jackson in from the orchard. This is an electrocution chair, and that's a platform for the goddess. See that platform that Steve's holding up? Greg's letting us use that because we're going to wheel a goddess in from out in the field, and then that up there is our most developed prop. It's the Great Satan, and it's going to shoot lasers out of its eyes and smoke out of its mouth.
Okay, here we go. Blackout, and the first voice comes on. At whose wish does the mind proceed on its errand? In whose command does the first breath go forth? At whose wish do we utter this speech? What God directs the eye or the ear? Okay, Forrest, let's jump to them pulling him out. No, you're right. You guys are going right in the middle of the audience right now.
It's cool. We're just going distance. We don't have room over there right now.
No, just go where you're going to go.
It's fine.
We
got it.
got space over there.
We can't put it right there. We got it. All right, stop there. Stop there. And let's flip it.
The slow flip or just a flip flip?
Just do a flip.
That's it. Remind me, that's Plato. We talk of this, and this must be a companion spirit.
And that's a sound cue. Back for 30 seconds. It's a sound cue for 30 seconds. Right there. And it comes down, and Sam says, "By the roots of my hair, some god got hold of me. I sizzled at his green bolts like a desert prophet."
The night snapped out of sight like a lizard's eyelid. A world of bold white days and shadeless sockets.
A vulturous boredom pinned me in this tree, the tree that all of you can see. Blackout!
The head on the maiden hard, no one else will know but who will pass. The head on the maiden hard, no one else will know but who will pass. The head on the maiden hard, no one else will know but who will pass. God, non expert, non peculiar cause. The head common medium broad, non expert, non peculiar cause. The head medium broad, non expert, non peculiar cause. The head common medium broad, non expert, non peculiar cause. The heat harmony of God of the explanation of the food off. The heat harmony of God of the explanation of the food off. My apologist gives no place is so strong and mortified that one I could not capture here.
This must be the Atlantean that Leo spoke of, and this is a companion spirit.
We decided we wanted to be like a symphony, so we decided that we were going to have a chorus and music and movement and story, and we figured those were the four elements.
The perception becomes still. Together with the mind, the intellect ceases to be active. This is called the highest state. This firm holding back of the senses is what is known as
The yogi.
And lights up. On the count of 3, starting on 1, we'll go 3, 2, 0, 1. 1, we'll start going down. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do it 3 times. 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Matt, just speed through it for now. Okay.
I was imprisoned for my ideas because they were violent. I said I have never committed a violent act in my life. Only tangible actions can erase the idea with said experience. I dreamt of wearing little and shitting on and all upon my pot up hands and smearing my shit across large shop windows. We will be babies, just to show you babies what babies you are. must have my arms free to export the spirits from where they last slept.
My dear sir, why do you smear your shit and scream at the moon? At the cactus? It is the CIA who uses the great Satan's name in vain to watch you sleep, to record your dreams, not the moon. She is our leftist gorilla protector to the gateway of the cosmos.
Awake, dear moon, awake, moon! Awake, dear moon! Purport to me your tale. Tell me where the great Satan can be found, for only he can whisper the sweet words I seek.
Portman 2! The great Satan only speaks Latin. Do you speak Latin? I will send a star in search of him for you.
Gracias! Gracias, TV Luna! Dear sir. Dear sir. And now a cactus speaks! What of? Of whom? Insanity! The great Satan, sir. The mirror-man serpent. The slit. Yeah. It emerges from black sites and secret prisons and rotten tree stumps.
Desværre holder on til at gå på tværs for her disse år.
The content was kind of predetermined, determined by us, but also strangely undetermined by anyone.
Lights up!
And so, in my case, I was assigned to the story, the part of the story I was supposed to tell. Just in the square that I was assigned, it just said simply, "The mycologist is in prison, hearing echoes." And so, as a writer, I just kind of tried to make that sentence come to life, trusting that our interweaving of themes and ideas was strong enough that it would form a part of a whole, of a larger story.
There was definitely a narrative that fell into place, I think. How we deal with living in this time, you know, and it is philosophical, and Artaud was one of the big mentors behind writing the script, you know, and he talks a lot about that sort of thing, you know, and so I think that just that energy in and of itself, I mean, it's not a linear script. I don't think it was ever meant to be.
You guys in the blackout, we hear a sound, another sound, and a third sound. That's the cue, okay? 1, 2, 3. It's like 15 seconds. So it goes, bop, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, bop, lights up. that was pretty much how we created the mycologist handbook. I feel like that piece is like when some kid in 1968 got hold of the first Velvet Underground record, and they were like, "Wow, I don't really know what this record's coming from or how this record fits into like the rock and roll of the time, but it's got something new in it, and it's going to inspire me to try something new." You know what I mean? Like that. That was the kind of piece. That storytelling isn't seen on Chico stages. It isn't seen in Sacramento probably. So you have a piece that is really going to like put a seed of imagination in some young kid and make them into an artist.
You're going from 5 years old to 90 years old, and we're all doing it together.
Everybody's gonna live, yes they do. Everybody's gonna die. Everybody's got to have a good time. I think you know the reason why. I saw a blind man walking down the street last Sunday. He couldn't hardly tie his shoes.